My name is Hannah, and if you told me a year ago that my own sister would spend thousands of dollars hiring private investigators to destroy me, I would have laughed. We grew up sharing everything, clothes, secrets, even the same bed when thunderstorms scared us. But I guess betrayal grows best in familiar soil, because no stranger could have cut me as deeply as she did. It started the week after our mother died. Her will was simple, everything split 50-50 between me and my sister, Claire. But there was one detail Claire didn't like: Mom had named me executor. I wasn't surprised, I had always been the responsible one. Claire was the golden child, the one who charmed everyone with perfect smiles and perfectly timed tears. But responsibility? She wore it like a sweater 2 sizes too small. The morning after the funeral, she cornered me in Mom's kitchen as I sorted paperwork. "So you're really going to follow the will?" she asked, arms crossed, lips curled with entitlement she didn't bother hiding. "It's Mom's decision," I said quietly, because speaking louder might have broken me. "I'm just doing what she wanted." Claire scoffed. She didn't know what she was doing at the end. She was confused. "And you were always whispering things to her." I stared at her. Whispering what? That I didn't deserve anything. It felt like she'd slapped me. "I would never." She walked away before I could finish, and I told myself it was grief, just grief. But grief doesn't hire 2 private investigators and feed them lies. 2 weeks later, I received a letter accusing me of fraud, coercion, and forging financial documents. I remember the words blurring as I read them. My hands shook so violently the pages rattled like dried leaves. Claire stood behind me, arms folded smugly. "If you've been lying, they'll find out," she said. "They're professionals." "Claire, why are you doing this?" I whispered. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her smile said everything. What she hadn't expected was that they would show up at my door, 2 men in crisp suits, polite but sharp-eyed, and ask if I'd like to tell my side. They didn't warn her they'd talk to me. Maybe she thought she controlled them the way she controlled everyone else. For weeks, they shadowed me. I saw them at the grocery store, at the bank, even through the crack of my curtains at night. I imagined them flipping through my text messages, digging through my trash, forming a wall of lies taller than I could dismantle. But they weren't looking at me. They were looking around me. Every time they asked me a question, it had nothing to do with the will. Instead, they quietly inquired about family businesses, shared accounts, and a company Claire had been running using Mom's name, something I'd barely heard of. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Until the night one of them called. "Hannah," he said, his voice lower than usual, "do you know your sister has been transferring funds from your mother's account for years?" I froze. "No, that can't be right. We have the paper trail. Clear as day." And just like that, everything snapped into place. The guilt tripping. The accusations. The desperation. She hadn't hired them to expose my wrongdoing. She had hired them to bury hers. But she made one fatal mistake: she assumed the investigators were corruptible extensions of her will. They weren't. They were licensed. Ethical. And now? Very, very concerned. I didn't confront Claire immediately. I waited. I let the investigators finish their work. I kept acting like the terrified little sister she assumed I was. Then came the day the investigators invited both of us to a review meeting. Claire strutted in wearing a designer suit I knew she couldn't afford. She sat next to me, smirking. "Ready to confess?" she whispered, breath hot with arrogance. I just smiled. "Are you?" Her confusion was almost sweet. The lead investigator cleared his throat. "Miss Hannah, thank you for your cooperation. And Miss Claire, we need to discuss the extensive fraudulent activity you have conducted using your late mother's identity." The silence in the room thickened until I could hear my own heartbeat. Claire's face drained of color, turning ghost pale. "There must be some mistake," she said, laughing weakly. "There is no mistake," the investigator replied, sliding a stack of documents toward her. "Bank transfers. Faked signatures. Loans. Tax filings. You hired us to prove your sister was lying. Instead, we uncovered your own crimes." Claire turned to me slowly, eyes wild. "You did this. You planted." I leaned in, my voice a whisper mirroring hers from earlier. "You hired them, Claire. You did this to yourself." The air left her lungs in a shaky gasp. Her mask was gone, beneath it was something twisted and desperate. As they read her rights, she sputtered, cried, begged me to help her. Her hands clawed at my sleeve like she could pull me back into whatever fantasy she'd built. "Hannah, please," she sobbed. "We're sisters." For the first time in months, I felt calm. Like stepping into the eye of a storm. "No," I said gently, "we stopped being sisters the moment you decided I was your enemy." As they escorted her out, she screamed my name so loudly it echoed off every sterile wall. I didn't look back. The twist? The court later awarded me full control of Mom's estate, not because I fought for it, but because Claire destroyed every claim she had with her own paranoia. The investigators testified. The evidence was irrefutable. And Claire, who spent her whole life manipulating people, finally learned what it felt like to be outsmarted. Justice didn't come with fire or fury. It came quietly. Through the very people she hired to ruin me. In the weeks that followed, I sometimes caught myself replaying the moment she was let out in handcuffs, her eyes wide, her perfect image cracking like glass. And instead of guilt, I felt something colder, something cleaner. Relief. For once, the truth didn't need defending. It defended itself. And Claire? She finally had to live in the world she tried so hard to trap me in. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. Sometimes, it whispers your sister's name as the cell door closes. If you want more wild, unbelievable true stories like this, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.